Welcome to the Ripple Effect by the Alliance. We are committed to raising the frequency of our planet. We'll discuss hot topics, share practical tools and sacred frequencies to reveal the magic in your life. Come laugh, cry, and have fun with us.
Hello, everybody. Tonight, we are going to do a little shift. Usually our MC is Sarah, but today we have such an amazing surprise because we are going to do a deep dive into who Sarah Jane Leta is. And I have the privilege of starting this off today. We're so looking forward to interviewing Sarah and finding out things that we are going to be surprised as much as you are, because there's so many things that we don't know about each other. There's always something new. And so we're just as excited to get to know Sarah better.
Yes.
And so I am going to ask Stacia to ask the first question.
Okay. Well, Sarah, I think you should maybe tell us a little bit about where your business is focused right now and like what's going on in Sarah's world.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be getting interviewed. And I want to start this off with the cheers because that's my thing. So I'm just going to say cheers. I'm excited to just chat with everybody.
Cheers.
My focus is what I call the sexy structure, and it's putting the strategies and systems and organization in place behind the scenes, whether that is like actual things that we're doing, like to track and organize in the back end, or strategizing for a launch, or planning in advance for what offers we're creating and what all the details come with that, so that we can have a lot of fun and freedom and flow in our business. And for me, it's something that at one point I really pushed away from in my business, was the masculine side. If we talk about like feminine and masculine sides of like business, and if you're in like the coaching world, you might have heard of like feminine energy and masculine energy. And the masculine energy is a lot of like the doing and the things that I love and that lights me up and that I'm really passionate about. But at the same time, those things are what allow me to then lean back and have fun in my feminine, and be able to enjoy times where I can just like go out and go off shopping for the day with my mom, or go for walks at the waterfront, and just enjoy those moments without having to stress or worry about like, oh my God, do I have to do this post, or do I have to run this thing, or do I have a client call? Like, I'm organized to the point of it being flexible and free. So that is my big focus right now, is helping other people see the importance in that, and how rather than pushing away from like the organization and the planning, because we feel like, oh no, we're going to be like trapped in, it's actually the thing that sets you free in your business. So that's my my niche, my zone of genius, is like really tapping into that. And then also with that, helping other people reach their goals that they have set for themselves, whether that's like leaving their full-time job, or just believing in themselves that they can create a business. A lot of people come and they're like, well, I like to do this thing, but I don't understand how it can be business. That's something I really like to help people with. So really seeing the zone of genius, and then how can we turn that into a business, and how can you do it in a way that is scalable and easy to manage.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm sorry, Stacia, for interrupting, but I just have to say that it's been such a joy to watch you focus on that, because there's been a lot of naysaying about that masculine energy, right? And it's like, masculine energy, get away from masculine energy, and don't do the masculine stuff, and be in your feminine, and be all girly girl, and it's like the bubble bath thing, like we discovered recently that
None.
we don't do bubble baths.
Oh.
I can't stand getting in the, it's like, I don't like
I-
doing the bubble bath thing. That is not self-care for me. That is like torture. And
Yes.
I put myself through it and I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? And we discovered that, right? So not every woman has the dream of getting into a bubble bath,
Mhm.
right? And also we can't, I just feel that we can't have one thing without the other. It is a complement. And we're composed of both feminine and masculine energy, and negating one side of it is really detrimental to our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health.
Yes.
Like, where are we without testosterone? No muscle mass. We fall apart.
Yeah.
And if we're building a business within that context, like the I mentioned, like I pushed away because I fell into the trap of like, oh, you got to be in your feminine and do things, like you can't be in that hustle mode, right? And I was like, by doing that, one, I was like not listening to like what I was truly good at and what I was my passion. And it impacted my business. But at the same time, like it was a learning lesson. Everything's a learning lesson. And coming back into it, I learned, because I did learn like the importance of the feminine and how it worked for me. And one of the words people also throw around was like this word of like balance, work life balance, or balance of the masculine and feminine. And I don't use that word liberally because my balance looks different than Stacia's balance, than Hannah's balance. Like it's not a 50-50 thing. Like for me, I can be so much more in my masculine. So when I am in my feminine, like that fuel, and even though it may not be as much as other people, that fuels me more. So the idea of like laying in the bath or in a hammock or something for 4 hours, it's like, well, what am I doing while I'm laying in the hammock? Like, am I making planning something out like that, you know what I mean? So for me that wouldn't be um a positive experience. But if I'm going for a walk and unplugging, or I'm baking or something like that, I'm like, that's my self-care and my way of infusing the feminine. So yeah, I'm really trying to change the narrative around that, because I feel like it's gotten a really bad rap. And what the thing is, the people who are pushing the feminine flow, and only that are not sharing with you, is that they are actually doing the masculine shit behind the scenes, or they're paying people to do it. Like that, those aspects are still important. The structure that I teach people, it coaches that are making seven figures have this structure in place. And just because they're teaching like it's important to be in your feminine and blah blah blah, yes, that's important, but you also need the structure. And I think that's where a lot of people, including myself, fell into the trap, where it was like I thought it was only in the feminine, and not realizing, wait, there's other shit that I'm a boss, I'm a CEO, um and there's shit that needs to get done for me to have a business that is thriving and going to be scalable.
I absolutely love that because it's so true. You know, they're going around going flowy dresses and all flowers and rainbows and unicorns, right? And it's like, yeah, but you have a whole team making the calls, making the sales, doing the posts, getting the organizing, running your schedule. Like,
Yeah.
how is that? How is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And to go pretending that it's not important, I find that really
Misleading.
thanks. I was gonna say a really bad word. It's just not right. It's bait and switch, you know, and you go in, one goes in, we go in thinking, oh, it's gonna be all the feminine and we're gonna be okay. And me, personally, that I'm so like all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, I'm all over the place. I need to land.
Yeah.
I need a place to land, a place to focus, a place that I know it's working so that I can feel safe to go and do my crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I need the structure. And I believe that any person who's running a business needs it too. Going into it believing that there's no need for any structure, I think is a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, being that you said you're the CEO, have you always wanted to be the CEO of your business?
Yes.
The short answer would
I
be
don't like being
next
told what to
question.
do.
Right?
I don't like being told what to do. I like now. I will say this: I've had up until a year ago, and actually, this is so funny. In my memories today, it came up a year ago that I was officially full time in my business. So, how fitting that we're doing this interview today. So I'm 40, and so it took this long before I was like, okay, it's official. Well, it's technically 39.
Whee!
I'm
Cheers to
39.
that.
Yay.
It's your anniversary. Yay.
Anniversary. So, but I've always known that. I've always been somebody who had something they wanted to do on the side, had multiple things going on. I remember in high school, like I would organize events and things like that. And um, like not to the degree that I could have because I had a really big hit to my self-esteem. So there was things that I did that like allowed me to like showcase what it meant to like kind of be a boss and be in charge. And then it's just been something I always knew. I hated having a job. I hated being told like I couldn't understand the concept of like the 8 to 4, the 9 to 5, and like you got it. I'm like, but why? I can do this thing. I'm not a morning person. Okay. These ladies try to get me up early sometimes to do shit. I don't like it. I'm like, nothing before 11. Thank God they're like an hour difference. So like it works out. But I didn't like being told like, okay, you have to like do this specific work in this specific time. And I think because I was a creative person and like I took initiative, like I would come up with ways to do things differently. But at the same time, I was a really hard worker when I was in the when I did have a full time job, right? Like I would do a lot of overtime and things like that. But it was always a desire for me to have my own business. So in 2011, that's when became a official entrepreneur and started my own business, and that was wedding and event planning. So I took a course in 2010 to become certified, and then in 2011 I started my own business, and then that has evolved in many ways since then to lead me to where I am now. So it's always been something I've been passionate about, and it's something that even like my dad, has he works a full-time job, but he also has his own business, right, where he's doing mechanic work and restoring Corvettes and um, vehicles for people. He had his own construction business. Like my uncle was in on it. My his father and my grandfather did it. So it's in my blood to we want to be in charge. We want to be the boss. It's like one of my lines on my human design. Like it's like I want to be um I want to be in charge, but at the same time what came with that and part of my journey was like something I'm really passionate about is like helping others see like they can do that too and also be the one in charge.
So bossy boots, we're gonna call you from now on.
Bossy boots. The leader. I like
Oh, that's I love that. So you said you had this evolution in your business. you went from wedding planning to coaching. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, like I said, I started in 2011 with wedding and event planning. Um, and then at the time when I did that, I also got a job at a bank. I had worked at a bank previous to that. Um, the most soul sucking job I've ever done is work at a bank. And I really, I didn't like it. So I
No,
ended up,
really? We
I
couldn't.
ended, I ended up switching careers and found a job in the nonprofit world. And then within that, I was so lucky. I had the most amazing boss. Uh, by the way, I interviewed twice for that job. It came up once. I didn't get it. Stuck at the bank still. Came up again. Didn't get it. Stuck at the bank still. Finally, it came up again. And the lady just called me and she said, you know what? I just want to hire you for the, I didn't have all the whatever
Yeah.
prerequisites
Prerequisites.
other people had, but those people kept leaving or they just sucked. So this job came up and she said, you know what, I just want to offer it to you. Like, if you want it, you can take it. It was less it was 4 days a week. It was way more pay than I was making at a bank because banks pay shit. They pay like maybe a little bit more than minimum wage.
But you have to
And
understand why banks do that because they don't have a lot of money to pay good
yeah,
salary.
my heart breaks for them, you know. Oh my god, we could go do a whole podcast on the banking industry. But in any case, um, yeah.
So it
I
was now 4 days a week.
yeah, and so I had that extra time to focus on my business. My boss was amazing, very flexible, and I got to bring that expertise of event planning, my creative side, and my more leadership roles like leading committee meetings and things like that, volunteers in that role. So it really built up my confidence in that to like keep going as an entrepreneur. So then in 2018, my world changed and I discovered self development. And that's when, a big pivotal moment happened for me. And I ended up uh, figuring out what the hell coaching was, going on my own self discovery journey, and then pivoting from wedding and event planning to online coaching. And I should say, my wedding and event planning business, the way I initially pivoted online was I brought that online. And I had clients in the States, was supposed to go for their wedding, but then the pandemic hit. And then I created courses and I had people like joining my courses to learn like how to plan their weddings, and it was amazing. And then in January of 2020, I had my first failed launch, and I was like, this isn't a failure. This is my sign, because I had been thinking for months that I wanted to pivot to helping people with their mindset. And I pivoted and I had a huge launch. And then from there, I pivoted to um, like within a month, I pivoted into like business, helping people with their business. And some of those clients still work with me today. And it's just incredible, like the transition that I went on to being able to help them. And then just being brave and like taking those steps along the way. So it's evolved, but it has been an evolution. It hasn't been like a complete, what do they call it? 180? Is that the thing where it's like complete switch, 90 degrees?
Yeah,
I'm not good with degrees and shit. So, but it wasn't like this, like, oh, this makes no sense. It was an evolution of me, everything that was happening with me and happening in my life that took me to, okay, now I'm teaching mindset and now I'm teaching business. And then from there, like coming to where I am now, which is like how many years in 2019? So 3 years in to being like, oh, within the last 6 months, and like, both of you have been on that journey with me, really honing into like, this is now it all makes sense. All the pieces are coming together. All the shit that I went through, I'm like falling back into what makes sense to me, but in a more powerful way. Um, and then like the ripple effect that that has with my clients has been uh, just amazing to watch as well.
Yeah, and you've never stopped doing the self-development work.
Mm.
You've kept it up, right? You keep working that aspect because you understand how it affects you and how you affect your clients too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is definitely a ripple effect.
Oh yeah. Like it's uh like I don't think I could stop now. And the thing is like with it's just part of who I am now doing that. I don't know, maybe I'm addicted to like the growth, the evolution of it all, right? And I've just seen like when I think back to that girl who like first started down that path, I'm like, damn, she was so brave. Like she didn't know what the hell to expect, but she was brave.
What a beautiful feeling to have.
Yeah.
What a beautiful feeling because like what would you tell that girl today? Like if you were able to see her and talk to her like from you the future you.
You know what? I have. And it's so funny because like I remember doing like visualizations and stuff when I was um beginning my journey and like I remember doing where like I would visit my next level self and I'm like this version of me visited that version of me, right? And was like saying like here like do the thing like be brave, be courageous, and do the things because like you have no idea what's waiting for you on the other side of your fear. And I remember saying that, like me, this version of me now, saying that to that version of me. And that is what like I would say to anybody, because I was terrified. Like I didn't know, um, I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea, like, um, I basically I was just like, how can I exist? And I talk about it like I had this like, it's like I came out of this coma, right? And it was like I had no idea, um, what each step would lead me to on my path without like one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the
Yeah. And isn't it worth it?
other. Yeah. And it's like that for me it started with like um when I like this living coma that I was in when I woke from it, uh I describe it like that because it honestly felt like that. It felt like I woke up one day. I remember it so vividly. I was driving home um from my lunch break. I would always go home for my lunch. Was always late coming back. Um like always late. Um and I'm like, I can go home in an hour and eat and do all the things and come back. And I'd always get into other stuff at home. Like, I don't want to go back. But I remember driving home one day at lunch and I felt like something, I'm like, oh, what is that? And I felt, and I was like, oh my God. And I had like a roll over my pants. And I had never had that in my life. And I was like, oh my God. And it honestly, obviously, it didn't happen overnight, but I hadn't noticed until that moment. And then it was like everything just like unfolded. And I was like, oh my God. And I realized that my business that I started in 2011, I had pulled away from. I stopped promoting, I stopped taking on clients. The extracurricular things that I like to do, like I would do, I always had was in dance or something like creative and fun for me. I stopped doing that. And I realized, oh my God, I'm literally, and like to tell you guys the truth, I honestly, I the reason I say so much like a coma, I can't even remember what I would do when I would come home. I'm like, what did I do from the time I came home from work until I went to bed? I have no recollection of what I did. Zero. I'm like, was I
Wow.
watching TV? Like, I honestly have no idea. I cannot remember what I would do. And I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm not doing anything. I felt, I realized I was in this very negative place. I felt like the world was out to get me. I was like, oh, I have the worst luck. Everything bad always happens to me. I felt um, like I felt like life was a burden, and I was also the job that I had taken on that I liked in the nonprofit. Um, I didn't like it anymore. I was like, I felt, um, it was so social and it was so engaging. I was like, I want to find something where I can just sit at a desk, not have to talk to anybody. Um,
Not
and like,
deal with humans.
yeah, just like enter shit into a computer. I didn't even want to have to answer a phone. I didn't want to deal with people coming in and out. Like I
Yeah.
just want to exist. So it was a big wake up call for me to be like, no, this isn't right. And for me, it started with like the first thing I went to because, um, I don't know. I don't know if it was vanity or what, but I wanted my body back, and that's where it started for me. And this uh, a girl, a cousin of mine who I had never really connected with. We ended up connecting on Facebook. She had shared a post from Coach, and I watched it, and it just hit home and resonated with me. And I'm like, what is this? This online coaching, and it was for health and fitness. And at that point, the most I'd invested in myself was like, $20 for an app that didn't work. And then I just kept watching and watching and watching and like kept watching the price go up. And I think like her program was like $800 and it was US. I couldn't understand why she's charging US. She lives across the road from me. Like we're in Canada. What is happening? The exchange rate. Like I was in such a bad place in my mind. And then I kept watching. And then finally one day, it was around this time of year. There's something significant about this time of year. It's always a big thing for me. And finally I just decided to say yes. And it wasn't, I always say it like it wasn't saying yes to the program, it was saying yes to me. And it's amazing how I still get emotional. I told this story like so many times. And every time I say that, it makes me emotional because like that moment that I said yes to myself, um, like just like put me on a totally different path. And um man, I didn't know what I was getting into. And there was a
So
lot of,
Hotel California,
yeah,
baby.
I couldn't leave, right? And I went down this incredible path of self-discovery and mindset and getting into a positive mindset and learning what money mindset meant. And um it was a big journey. It was huge. It was a lot. It was an overnight, but it led me here.
So amazing. So amazing. And since we've been working together, I've seen such growth from you. It's been fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I guess those have been the hardest moments, right? That have actually impacted your life for the better.
Yeah. I would say like that moment for me, I always say like, so I probably gained about like 30 pounds. And for me, it was a lot. Like I really noticed it when I finally noticed it. Um, and I fucking hated that. I hated my body. Um, and then the journey that led me on, uh, loving my body before I even, um, finally set foot in a gym, like that course that I joined that was for fitness, it actually was a mindset course for me. And I was able to love myself again before I lost a pound. That was huge for me. And I look back and I'm like, thank God, I lost in that moment. It was like devastating waking up from that moment and being like, oh my God, I've gained this weight. I've destroyed my business. I've, you know, let everything go that's important to me. And I'm this really, really shitty, depressed human being. That sounds devastating. And now I look back and I'm like, I am so glad that happened because it happened. It took that for me. Hannah always talks about like, what do you say? Like it's by force or by will or by force?
By force or by choice?
By force or by choice. Well, I guess I like to do the by force bullshit way. So, and then it's always like, here we go. So the universe is like, okay, let's spin this for her, but how are we going to do it? Let's pack on 30 pounds and completely throw her into depression to wake up from like, okay, there's more for me and what's on the other side of that. And that was a big moment. There's been other moments in my life I feel like that probably landed me in that position, things that have happened, that, relationships or, not so pleasant things that, nobody should have to go through. But I think more of us go through it than we know. We just don't talk about it. I think there's probably more people who go through those hardships than don't.
Yeah.
And being able to be able to look back and be like, I'm so glad that that happened because it honestly, when the pandemic hit, had I still been in that mindset, um, I don't know how I would have made it through. I really don't. I think
No.
I would have made many different choices that I would have regretted. And I'm so proud of myself for the way I handled myself. It was very challenging. Um, last year was very difficult. And I think back to like a year ago where I was, and had I not had had I not gone on the journey that I went on with my mindset and being able to build my business to the point that when I was forced, again, my back was against the wall a year ago, um, and I had to go, even though I knew I wanted to be full time, um, I was put into that position of forced into it. I knew I was going to be okay. Even though it was like, okay, I'm not making this choice, I was making this choice because I knew that I wanted to do it. It was the push that I needed to do it. And I knew.
But you
that I
made
would be
the
okay.
choice before. Like
I
I
have.
know because
In my heart, I made the choice before.
the universe just said, when are you going to do it? And gave
Yeah,
you all.
it was kind of like kick you off the couch and do it, right? And uh, another big moment where I'm grateful for it. And so many people would be looking at that and be like, "Oh my God, that's horrible that happened." And I'm like, "No, thank you. Thank you for that happening." And um, yeah, and then it was the thing being in spaces like with you ladies and um, my daily practices, and then the things that I have created in my business that allowed me that space to be able to heal and work on my business, work on myself, that um, made those hard moments like really worth it. And looking back on them and being like, yeah, it all turned out better, even though other people might have saw that as like, that sucks, and that, yeah, it sucked, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm alive. I'm living.
Yeah.
I'm not fatal. I don't have a fatal cancer or something. Like, I'm lucky that if this is my biggest problem, it's not a problem.
Yeah. And like I say, what we think our biggest curse turns out to be our biggest blessing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, you were given plenty of chances to go off, and it was like pressing the snooze button. And there
Yeah.
comes a point where life goes, okay, you've pressed the snooze button enough time.
I see. I pressed this button in real life and in my like universal life. But you know what? Another reason I'm grateful for that is even on my own like self discovery mindset journey, um, one of the big things like that excited me and about like starting to teach that was I was like, okay, I've done all the things and I saw how long it took me to do it. I know there's a faster way, and I knew how to talk to someone like me who dragged their heels or waited and waited. Like it was like I know her because I was her and I'm not her anymore. Yeah. Like, okay,
I
I
know what you're
I've
talking
been there.
about.
Yeah. So
I love that. So, who do you think has had the most influence in your life?
um man, okay. Well, I just want to like give a shout out to both of you because like
Ah,
you guys have been very influential in my
Oh,
life. But I can't. I'm bad. I can't just narrow it down to one because. But if I were to pick, I know the one that's on my heart, so I'll share that one first. And that's my grandma. My
mm,
mom's mom. My grandma was the. I don't want to say the only one, but she was the biggest one when I was growing up to encourage me to always go after my dreams, to never play it small. And I didn't know those words hit home, but in my own journey over the past couple of years, I was like, I get it now, and I really get what she's trying to say. But it was always there encouraging me, and I think it was the push that I had along the way when I was afraid to do things. But she would ask me, "What do you want to do?" I could tell my grandma my dream, um, and not feel embarrassed or shamed. She would be so excited for me. She would encourage me to do it. And one thing these ladies know, and that I never really share with a lot of people, because I would get a lot of like, you can't do that or whatever, is from a little girl, I wanted to be an actress. That was the thing I wanted to do. And my grandma was one who like encouraged me, and I would go to visit her. I would stay for like a week, and I would put on these skits. I would make like little tickets and take it to them. Here, you're buying a ticket to my play, and they would come, and I'd have costumes, and I would put on these skits. And my grandma and grandpa would watch. She would just come up. My grandma was like, "Yes, let's do this," and she would love it. And she never said like anything negative. It was always like so much encouragement. And anything I wanted to do, she never diminished my dreams. It was always like, and it was almost from a place of like don't do what I did. I think she almost said that to me in some form of that, like she basically said like I gave up on my dream and I don't want you to, because I don't want you to regret that. And I'm
mm,
paraphrasing, but it was to that degree. That was her message. And she always, so that I would say like she's had like the biggest influence on me. And yes, there's been coaches, and like my parents have had, you know, a big influence. My dad's always been somebody who um, was like, you know, um, don't wait to do things. Like, I remember we wanted to go on this trip, and I was like, oh, we don't have a lot of money. And my dad's just like, you know what? Um, Bills are always going to be there. There's always going to be things to pay. You can't buy back this experience with your family. And I'm so glad we did it, because then the pandemic hit and changed so much, right? So that's something that's been an influence. And then my mom's always been like, I don't know how she does it. I wish I had more of her in me. I'm trying to learn it, but she's so patient and kind and never like overreacts to things. And I take after my dad. We were like explode, and then we're like, oh, I love you, I'm sorry, 5 minutes later. So she's someone I admire, and has a big influence. So yeah.
no, I love that.
that's beautiful. And what makes you laugh? Mhm.
Lots of things make me laugh. That made me laugh. I don't know why. I like silly things. Like I like, well, listen. Okay, I'm not one to just sit and watch TV. Again, I like to do things. I'm moving. But I'll put on like the Golden Girls or The Office or Friends in the background, and it's like it makes me laugh and I have fun. And I could be like cleaning the house or doing business work, and it's like, or having a shower and I'm playing, and it's like, it just makes me laugh. I love to laugh. I love stupid jokes. I love like silly memes. I love sarcastic shit because I'm sarcastic. And yeah, I just lots of I love to laugh, and I lots of things.
Yeah.
Past TV shows, any opportunity to laugh, I want to listen to it. I'm not into like my parents listen and watch a lot of those forensic files.
Oh
Oh,
And
yeah.
God.
if you don't know, I'm currently uh my my fiance and I live with my parents right now. We're moving in a couple of months, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they like this shit. And it's like, it's just murder, and it's just like, there's so much murder in this house. And it's like, I'll bring this, it's like forensic files or Dateline, or some form of
Too
someone's
fun.
been murdered. And I'm like,
Somebody's getting murdered.
I love the opportunity to laugh and just like give me something stupid and mindless. So I got enough busyness and like serious stuff to focus on, that
Yeah.
I'd like
Too.
to have the ability to just like give me something silly.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
That work a lot of like, because I know you like The Office. I know you
Yeah.
like the Golden Girls. We're like, oh yeah, I love these shows. That's fantastic.
That's funny. So what does Sarah like to do for fun?
Ah, yeah. I like to have my little
I'm
drink
gonna,
me
I
wine.
know.
And then and just yeah, like have that, and just like kind of have my own little, like, I like to craft, and I like to paint, and I like to dance, and um I like to go for walks. I like to swim. I like to go to the beach, be in nature, and not crazy like adventurous like bungee jumping that degree, but I'm like, I love to try different things, and just and spend time with like family and friends, like, or my grandma. She's waiting for me. I was sick for a bit, and like, I'll go and help her bake, or not help her bake. Fuck, she's a pro. I bake with her, or she makes quilts, and I'm like, she's 96, so um, she honestly has more energy than me sometimes, but her body doesn't agree with her.
Yeah.
So I'll help her like with quilt stuff, and um, getting to just do that stuff with family. And my mom and I will just like go on impromptu shopping trips, and those are things that like bring me so much joy, and I have like a lot of fun. So,
Oh, love that.
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was gonna say baking, and you have to say your grandma,
Baking.
so you covered both. So what would you say? What would you say?
Sorry, can I just say that grandma has had a big impact. I want to say that is someone else who's had a big influence on my life, just in a different way than my other grandma, but she has had a big influence in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Beautiful. So what would you say to someone who says that it's too late to go after their dreams?
Mm. um, you know what? I can understand somebody saying that, because I was that person. But now I would say to them, um, like, just be courageous, and be open to the possibilities. Something I said like at the start was like, there's so much waiting on the other side of our fear. And I feel like a lot of times when people say it's too late, it's actually them like just afraid, like, well, what happens if I try? Because who defines what's too late, and what is that thing that you're going after, and why? Like, who told you it's too late, and why do you think that? And oftentimes it comes from like, well, if I were to try it now, it might not work. Well, guess what? If you tried it 20 years ago, it might not works either, right? Like, age and time has nothing to do with things. So I would tell them to do it anyway, and do it courageously, and do it scared. Like anything that I've done, even that decision that I made to um, step into that program for health and fitness, and investing a lot of money in myself that I had never invested before. I think it worked out to like $1,000 Canadian at the time. That was like, I couldn't believe I was investing that. Um, and I did
Now
that.
it's like taking a hair out of a cat, the way
Now
we're
we back an eye. The other day, I just like I invested in a piece of artwork for like $2,000, and I'm like, I didn't even bat an eye. But like back then, it was like um a big moment for me. And I didn't have $1,000. I want to say that. So
right. The big
it's not like
step.
I didn't have money. So I was like, I didn't, it was like I was taking that out of a savings account. That didn't exist. I was on a payment plan, right? So I was like, how can I make this work?
Yeah.
So I just know, like, anytime that I've done that, and like when I did that, made that first decision, I was terrified. I was so scared. And like, that's why I say, man, that girl's brave, because now, yeah, I still do. I'm making decisions all the time that scare me, investments that scare me, um, changes, moves in my business, moves physically moving. And those things scare me, but I know I can do them because I did it when I was terrified. So you have the perfect opportunity right now, anyone listening who's like, I'm at that moment where I'm terrified to do this and I don't know, but you're at the perfect moment because you know how your life has been. If you're thinking about it, you're probably not happy with where your life is. So what the hell do you have to lose? Like, you can stay in that place where you are and continue to be miserable, continue to be unhappy, continue to say coulda, shoulda, woulda, or you can just do it and try it and see what happens. And you're going to be in such a better position to see, like, because I guarantee whatever you go to do, something's going to come out of it. Even me, I said, like, when I pivoted and switched, brought my business online, I ended up having a failed launch. Like, I saw that as a positive, like, okay, this is my sign to move. So anything that you're doing, whatever comes out of it, there's you are growing and you're expanding and you have something to celebrate the fact that you even took that chance to do it. You'll know if you like the thing that you're trying to do. It'll create so much bravery. And I always say, like, our confidence, our confidence in things comes from like being courageous and doing it. And if we wait till like we're sure or confident to do something, we're never going to do it. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I call BS on the idea of like it's too late to go after our dreams, because again, if you have a heartbeat, it's not too late. Like, you're breathing, it's not too late.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
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 And how many people have just the idea of having people get to the end of their life and never having gone for their dreams? I cannot imagine how that would feel.
Yeah. Well, and like my grandma, right, who's pretty much said to me, like, I waited, don't wait. Like, she probably would have given anything to be able to go back and do that differently. And that is something that I just don't want to ever look back on. And it's a big driving force for me going after my dreams now, including like the acting part of it, right? It's like, because that's something her voice is like there all the time. And it's like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and be thinking, man, I should have done it. And I don't have kids, so I won't have grandkids to be like, you should have done it. I'll just be sitting in the home by myself, being like, son of a bitch. So I don't want to get to that point, not even be able to
Yeah.
fart among someone. I want to be able to be like, well, at least I tried.
Yes.
And
Because you already got the no, right?
yeah, if you don't do it, it's a guaranteed no. So I don't it's like, it's, if it brings you joy, like, go after it. And you know what, even if it's like I'm doing community theater, I'm doing community theater. At least I'm doing what I'm passionate about, and I'm not shying away from it, right? I'm like going back to what like I'm actually passionate about. So,
Mm.
and that's been the evolution in my life over the last few years. So.
Wow. So have you always wanted, I see you as a planner. So have you always wanted to do this type of work, planning and business?
Yeah. Again, yeah, like um I remember like when I was younger, um I'd be planning my own birthday parties. My mom didn't have it, and that's another reason why I love my mom, because she's not like that. She just lets me have free reign. And she was like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, I'm like, okay, so we're going to, when they arrive, we're going to do this. So then we're going to have the pony rides at 2 p.m. Like, because I was fortunate, I grew up, my grandma had, and my grandparents had like a riding stable ranch. So we had like horses and ponies. So like, okay, we're having pony rides for everybody. And, then we're going to do the cake. Then we're going to do presents. Here's the games we're going to play. These are the prizes I want to get. I'd want to make like the little swag bags the kids would get. We didn't call them that. I can't remember what they were called, but
You were having giveaways at what age?
like I
5.
was like 8. Like I was like 8. Like yeah, I was just planning my. It was doing the whole thing. Yeah,
Like,
so
we're
I
going to give
love.
this price away and this price away. You're
I
already
did.
planning giveaways then. That's amazing.
I didn't know the impact. And it was, the other thing was I loved to, I would do like, I loved like the make believe. I would pretend to be teaching, right? And it's like, oh, so funny. I end up like, the thing I was doing as a kid, I'm basically get to do now full time. And it's like, oh, I get to make up these like, um, modules and ideas and trainings for people and homework. And like I was doing this for like invisible people when I was a kid. I would get my mom to actually photocopy things at her work. And I'd be like, hey, here's the assignment for my students. She would bring them, I would hand them out, fill them out, then I would mark them. Like it was just that's why I thought I wanted to be like a real teacher. And then I realized I didn't really like kids. So not that I don't like kids. I like people's kids, but I just like I didn't want to teach kids.
Right.
So um yeah, so I always liked the planning thing. And then like with family functions, then I was always the default planner. Um Now that went to an extreme, which I worked on recently, but it it's it was something that I just always loved to do. I always like being organized and like making sure things were in their place. And yeah, it's just who I am at my core. So.
That's beautiful. And what would be your biggest tip to someone who wants to start a business?
The biggest thing I would say is just don't fucking stop waiting and thinking about it. Like just move. If you know you want to do it, move. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, hire a coach. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, get on board with the fact that you're gonna have to invest money in your business. Like think about if you were to purchase a franchise, you're going to be putting out a lot of money at first, and understand that it might take time. Be patient with yourself to make that money back, right? And having those conversations with, like, if it's a spouse or whoever, when you're doing that, because I didn't have those conversations at first, and I kind of just did. I'm like, ooh, we'll talk about it later, and that didn't work out. So having open conversations, being like, I'm starting a business. It might take me fucking 5 years before I see a return on my investment, but I'm taking this seriously. And I want to say something specifically to people who are in the coaching world. For some reason, it's, I don't know why, but if you think about like if you're opening a brick and mortar, if you were purchasing a franchise, we know, okay, we have to put money out before we start making money. And that's just the name of the game when it comes to business. But for some reason in the coaching industry, it's like this, it's like this invisible thing that people don't really get behind and understand that um this is a real business. Like we have to take it seriously and start to do the things um that are going to help our business grow. And if that's, investing in a coach is no different than if you were investing in a franchise, investing in the rent and the product and whatever that you would be selling in a shop. It just looks different online what that
Well,
investment is.
but even in franchising, they have school.
Or if you were becoming any profession, really, when you think about it, if you're becoming a doctor or a lawyer, whatever you're doing, you're investing your time, your money, you're learning, you're taking the time to integrate those skills and build them so that you can become more confident in what you're doing. And it's no different in the coaching world, except we have this benefit of like, we are already probably, if you're doing it right, the full embodiment of what you're about to teach. So now it's just like, okay, well, what are the strategies and tools that I can do to set it up behind the scenes so that it can run seamlessly, so that you can have that freedom and fun and flow that I talked about.
So, what is it that lights you up the most in life?
Ah, I, the thing that lights me up the most, honestly, is every day, being able to, and like, I don't know, I have like, even today, I was like, man, I'm so lucky being able to just get up and live my life the way I want to live it. Like that, and because it can look different every day. Like it's not one thing that like is like, oh, this thing lights me up, because there's so many things that bring me joy in my life and I find exciting and fun. But the big thing is like, how fucking amazing and lucky am I that I get to um, wake up and live my life that in a way that I'm passionate about, in a way that excites me, in a way that gives me so much flexibility and freedom. And the big part of that is, I go again, but like the appreciation for the women who trust me to help them do the same in their world, right? Like the clients that come to me and work with me, I'm like, this is my life. I get to do this. Like I get to help other people, you know, turn what their life around, turn what they're passionate about into a business, leave their full-time jobs. Like basically everything that I was dreaming about, and now I get to live, I'm helping other people do. And that lights me the fuck up. Like I'm like, I have to shake myself. And today I had a moment where I was like, this is my life. Like, how lucky am I? I'm so grateful. And I didn't mention this, but like one of the biggest things, I guess I kind of touched on it with my cheers at the start, but one of the biggest things for me has always been like on my journey was like learning about like how important celebration and gratitude was, and constantly celebrating. And every day I do like, I have a gratitude buddy with my aunt, and I do my gratitude, and we let each other know when we've done that. And that's something like that I celebrate. And I'm like, I used to have to like, I don't want to say force, but when I first started like doing the celebration gratitude, it was like, I'm happy the sun's shining. Like I had to find things that, just to get into the practice and habit of doing it, to now it's like, I'm excited to do that. And it's effortless for me. And it's like this, it, it's a whole different vibration that my body's operating on. And yeah, I'm just grateful that I get to do the thing that actually lights my soul on fire, and not back at the bank.
No, no
Oh,
bank.
Not like, yeah.
wow. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you something that I think it's going to make you think, because it's making me think. When did you discover that you were magic and that you had magic and that you could use your magic powers to create anything you would desire?
Wow. I can't say an exact date. But it's been on my journey over the last couple years. However, I will say that this year has been and I feel like this year's has had 10 years in it. I would say like the last part of this year, like even our experience together in June, May, June, when that was.
Yeah.
Um so I guess, how many months has that been? Again, I say it like a year, but I, I don't know, a few months now.
5 months.
Thank you. I'm not like even though I worked at a bank, math's not my thing.
That's
And
why you're no longer working at the bank.
yes,
That's right.
you're like, I don't think I was good at it, but I was just, I don't know. Not good at math, good at working at the bank. Okay. Anyway, I think something happened where I really just it was like this magical moment. And I know like both of you were there for that, but it was like, yeah, it was almost like you had to be there moment. But to share with like everybody listening, it was a moment of like it was like a shift and like owning it moment and like a being okay with saying like I am magic and I can create so many things, and trusting that and really trusting the process, and watching as like thing after thing would unfold to the point where I'm like, now I just have, honest to God, even today, like I will think something and it happens. And I don't know if I shared this with you guys, but I don't think I had the opportunity yet. When I was sick, I was just sick for like 10 days, and it's still like I still have a cough every now and then. I was sick for 10 days, and I got in a moment during that where I was like really going down not a good path mentally, because I was like frustrated. I was like, fuck this, like what? And every day I would wake up and it was like, I would wake up being like, okay, well, let's see how I feel tomorrow. Maybe I'm going to feel better. And I'd wake up with like this new symptom. And I was like, just when I thought, okay, my throat maybe is getting better, then like my nose started running and it didn't stop. And I was up all night with like a runny nose and coughing. And then I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, well, this must be the worst. It can't be worse than this. Okay, yeah, it can. Then my ear was infected. Then I'm like, what the fuck? Then the next day my eye was infected. I'm like, what is happening? And then I had a moment where I was laying there. I'm like, you idiot, in a good way. Because I was like, you know how fucking powerful your thoughts are. And that the more I went down that like shitty negative path, like I was bedridden. I'm like, I keep manifesting more shit to happen in my body. And then I was like, no, I'm done. Like at this point I was at like day 8 or whatever. And I'm like, no more of this. I'm like, my eyes were so red. I was like, oh my God, now I have pink eye or something. I'm going to have to go and get eye drops. I'm like, nope, I'm going to get an appointment. I called. It's unheard of that I would get an appointment in the same day with my doctor, got an appointment. She's like, it's probably viral, probably hasn't turned into bacterial, but I can get your drops anyway. I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, I don't need the drops. I'm going to wake up, and my eyes are going to like, it's going to start to clear up. I just know it. And I'm going to start to feel better. The next day I woke up, I swear to God, my eyes, I'm like, oh my God, my eyes were like cleared up. They were still just kind of like a little bit dry and itchy. But I was like, this really probably should have turned into like some kind of bacterial infection without the drops. And I'm like, it's starting to clear up. I was starting to feel better. And I knew like the next day I wanted to go with one of my bridesmaids to like pick out dresses. I'm like, I'm going to feel better. And then that night I knew I had an MRI. I'm like, I'm going to have to be in that. I can't cough. Like, I'm going to be better. I was in that MRI, didn't cough, didn't have to blow my nose. The next day I was able to go to Ottawa, didn't cough. Like, I was like, what? I know how powerful my thoughts are. Why didn't I do this on day like 2? But it's like, and this is why I love and why I said I'm addicted to the growth, because even at this stage when I know how powerful my thoughts are, where I can literally think something like, and a couple other things happened this week that I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this. I want to move it. I didn't even have to tell the person. Like, I had something on Friday. I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do that. I want to move it, but I'm not going to move it. They're going to move it. And they fucking wrote me today and said, oh, hey, I'm going out of town. Would you mind if we reschedule? I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like, I gotta go bigger here with this. And it started with, I'm sorry, I know this is going long, but it started with like the parking lot thing, right? And it was like I would go to these,
I'm just gonna say,
yeah,
it's
I'd
like
go to
how
Walmart.
far we've come from
Yes,
parking
it
spots.
started small, but it was like seeing like the trust, and that's why I go back to like the trust in that, right? And and it started with like I park purposely. I want to park close, but there's not always a part where you could like just, a pull through part where you can drive out. You don't have to back up when you leave. And I like to park where I can access my trunk easily, not have a car in front of me. So I'm like, okay, when I come back, the person in front of you is going to be gone. It's such a silly little thing, but I'm like, I won't have to back up. I can just drive right through.
So
And
hold that thought, because
yeah,
you just said it's such a silly little thing. And it is such a big thing.
it is. But I feel like people listening like, that's so silly. But the power that comes with it, and why I started was some like, I wasn't like, I'm gonna get $1 million in my account tomorrow, because I wouldn't have energetically. And I know we're going into like a bigger topic here, manifestation. We'll probably do a whole like episode on it. But I started with that because it was something I could energetically get behind, and believe in my own magic, right? And be like,
Right.
I can do.
And be detached.
We're gonna start with the easier, what do you call it?
Task.
Spell. And
Laser.
then yes. But on that, okay. So I do that, by the way. This has been going on since May, June. I can count on one hand the number of times that I didn't get a pull through spot. And usually it was when I had somebody else with me. I think it's happened maybe once where I had to back out. And I've come back to my car, and there's still been a car there. I'm like, that's okay. As I'm putting my groceries away, they're going to come and leave. And every time they come and leave. So what I realized on that journey was, this silly little thing that some might see it as, there was no difference between that and a $3,000 client, manifesting like my dream loft in a big city where I want to move, planning a wedding with Andrew that was like not in the cards and just like happened because like we made it happen, and realizing they're all on the same level. But it was for me to see my magic. That's where it started.
That's wonderful. Yes. And I remember you sending us videos of, oh my God.
I still tempted to. I'm like, oh God, they're going to
Keep
be like, yeah, we
sending
get it. We get it.
I love them because it's a reinforcement. And also we notice, right, on these things that appear so simple, we know it's easier to notice when you're not doing the full thing of being behind it. Yeah. It's easier to be detached from the outcome. If it's something that's simple, than if you're like, oh, I'm gonna manifest $1 million. It's
Exactly.
like there's a lot of pressure in there. There's a lot of attachment. There's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of expectation. So you've got to, one, we all have to, if we're not already expert manifestors, which I hate the name, it's like,
I know. I'm like, what are we need to come up with our own term.
actors, right? Because we're actualizing it and bringing it into this dimension. But when we practice with something that it's like, it doesn't matter if it happens or it doesn't, like it's not a big deal to back up.
No, exactly.
It's like it can be irritating in our mind because we're A, competitive, and B, we're practicing this thing. And so when it doesn't happen, it's like, oh my God, where did I miss the mark? And we noticed that every time, and when it was with another person, it was because the other person doubted. And then you doubted. And then you kind of accepted the doubt into your energy. And the thing is that when we're doing these things, there is no room for doubt because the miniest nano doubt, teeny weeny teeny, can destroy the entire thing.
And for me, it was if I just did the practice and I didn't tell the person, then we come back and I'd be like, there it is, I knew it. And I every time I go to when I come, I'm like, yeah, every single time. I laugh. I literally laugh out loud. People must think that's or something. But I'm walking in my car, I'm laughing. I'm like every time. I say it out loud. I'm like, it's not fail. And I should go back and say it wasn't like I just picked that and didn't do anything. I energetically was behind it. There's a whole process, right? It was it's not overly complicated, but it was just I went into the store and it just was it was just yes, I'm just energetically behind. I know when I go out, that the car's going to be gone. I'm going to pull through. Right. And it was seeing that happen every time. And I remember having conversation with you ladies, just saying trying to figure out I was well, what is it that I'm doing that so that I can carry that over to other things now, right? And it was just realizing it takes that same energy and that same just trust and belief in it and kind of I don't know what you'd say, just kind of let go of it,
Detach from the
would from anything else. And and then when having people and not telling them, because when I would tell them, I'd be like, oh no, what if this is the one time? The doubt crept in, right? And it was okay,
right, because you have to be
and it impacts so many other areas. But so that's been fun though. It's been that part of it, and being man, I'm pretty powerful. I'm pretty I'm magical, and this is fun. So
it's so much fun to find that out and to experience it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna still be waiting for those videos.
That's right.
So before we come to an end, are there any offers or any news you'd like to share with our audience that would interest them?
Yes. So something I have going on, this is my big I would say my signature piece in my business now is the sexy structure. So I have a whole experience with me that we dive into everything that makes your business unique and customizing that and tailoring that for you to put in the systems and the strategy and the structure in place behind the scenes, while then simultaneously creating your offers and launching your offers. And one thing with me is one of my favorite things to do is help people build and create their offers and build and create what they're going to focus on in their business, and then looking at that, translating it into offers, and then helping them with the launch piece, right? Because that doesn't have to look the same for everybody. And one of the things I have the women do when they come in is like, we do like a detox, and a a business boss. What did you call me before? Bossy pants.
Bossy,
Bossy.
bossy.
A version of a detox where we're like getting rid of all the old shit that you would do, or maybe you've on your like 10th business course now and you've learned so many different ways of doing it. And it's like, let's let go of this shit. If you haven't implemented it by now, you're probably not going to do it. And if there are things that you like,
Love that.
we're going to keep those, and we're going to get rid of all that shit. And then we do like a reset, and everybody's journey in there. Yes, you're all learning the same core pieces of information, but how you choose to implement it and how we do that together is customized for each person, because not everybody wants to launch the same way. Not everybody wants to do a live launch. Not everybody likes even running a program live, right? Some people love that. They thrive on that. That's where they get their energy from. And some people could sell in their sleep, and other people are like, I have no idea, but I'm here to learn, and I'm excited to learn from you. So I love that it's that the women who come into my space, because everybody's business is so unique and what they're teaching is so unique, every step of the process gets to be unique. And it's still teaching like the core fundamental pieces of it, but then taking those things and customizing them for you so that you actually do it. And it's not another program that sits on your shelf that you never fucking do the thing. It's like, after we're done our experience together, we've done everything together. You've put all the things in place, you've created an offer, if not more, and we fucking launched the thing together, and you're making money in your business rather than yet another thing where you have to try and do it and go implement it after. That's not how I do things.
Get after on your own. Sarah's an expert at accountability. And she helps, like, she's helped me land. And like this program that I just created, I did it under her tutelage, and it was just a magical process that she's developed, because it's beautiful. And for somebody who's like all over the place like me, to be able to land and to know what my next step is, and just do the one step. And the other thing is that she never leaves anybody behind. Because I've been in programs where you were supposed to do this week, and if you didn't do it, then the next week happens, and then you're now 2 weeks behind. And then you're trying to do the one that you missed, but then the stress of, well, now they're on the second week, and then on the third week, and then on the fourth week, and all of a sudden the program ended and you're stuck in the second week.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. And I know for a fact that Sarah hates that, because she's seen it time and time and again, like I have. And our style is very similar in that we're very hands-on, very present, and we'll never let someone stay behind. And that's the part that I love, because like I know if I get stuck, I'm not going to get stuck there, and then the program's going to run away without me. Yeah. It's like Sarah will be there to get you unstuck until you're unstuck and you keep it moving. And she won't let you not keep moving. And at the end of the thing, you're done. It's like you don't have to do anything else. You've done it. And I can't wait to start my new thing with her, because I'm like, I'm going to be feeling the same way as I felt in the other one, except now my program is going to be live. So yay for Sarah.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I just want to say, like, yeah, that's something that doesn't benefit anybody to just, like, this is a reason, like, I don't like having I like keeping my containers small because I can give more of that hands-on experience. And um, my while I am a planner and I have my plan in place for the program, like even this round of sexy structure that I'm running now, I'm like, I'm we're jumping on. I'm like, I'm adding in an extra coaching call because I wanted to jump on a call and make sure everybody was on the same page, everybody understood what was going on, get everybody to introduce themselves. So it's like, I think and it's something that people, if you are thinking about creating a coaching business, is to be mindful of that and not just think like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I didn't have a coaching call planned, so I can't put one in. Yeah, you can. You're the fucking boss. You can do whatever you want. So I think it's important. I feel it's important to really be mindful of the people who are learning from you and how they learn. And I don't want anyone to fall behind because that doesn't benefit me. It doesn't benefit them. And I want to make sure that people I I've been saying throughout this whole conversation, like, I want you to move. I want you to do the thing. I want you to get to that goal. If you want to be like full time in your, I want you to be able to get there. So if we have to shift something, and I think it kind of goes to, um, when I was in school, it was like it's this way or no way, and there was no middle ground to be like, well, I need
Yeah.
I need to learn it a bit differently, or I need more, I need help in a different way than everybody else who's learning, and I didn't get that. It wasn't the thing that, I think now maybe they do a better job at. But so it's only to my benefit that you excel and do well, right? If you excel and do well, you're probably going to be wanting, and this is something I pride myself on too. I mentioned like a lot of my clients still work with me. Well, that's because I don't leave them behind, right? Like I am like making sure that like they're on a journey with me and that we're getting somewhere together. So I'm really happy to hear that impacted you, on like seeing it from your side and how that impacted you means a lot to me because my like I just want everybody to succeed. And my other big thing is I fucking hate shit that you're left to do it after, because
Mm.
if you're like me, you don't do it,
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
never
thinking,
happen.
next thing. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? So like I want to take people on a journey, and it started like I had a program Stacia was in quite a few times, Mojo Magic. That's where that started for me. It was like, let's do the shit together. And yeah, you're gonna be like thrown into it, and you might be doing things you're scared of, but I'm here. I'm here. You don't have to do it alone. I'm here with you, and we're gonna figure this shit out together.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
So yes, that's my big offer that I have coming up. And then um I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can come follow me there. And yeah, those are, and I have a VIP email list too. So I send out things early to those people. So if you want to join that, you're welcome to jump on.
Excellent.
Is there anything else you want to share with us?
I just want to say, like, if you have something that's on your heart, like that is calling to you, like, listen to it. For me, when I go back to that moment where I like woke from my coma, if there's something sparked for me, and maybe this episode sparked something for you, and listen to it. Because it's going to be there. And like I said, I waited like 6 months, and guess what? It was still there. Like it wasn't going away. So waiting doesn't change anything except make you feel like, man, I just want to do this even more. And now I'm like, now you're like 6 months behind or you're behind. So if you want to do something, go for it. And if it's starting a business, don't overthink it. Like really just go for it and do it, but then get the help that you need. If it's like taking a business course, joining a group with like-minded women who are all like a business group or something like that online. If it's in person, like get yourself in a space where other people are doing what you're doing, so that you can get the support and start to make the big moves in your business. And then of course start like putting a plan in place for like what you're going to need to do and when. And if you need help doing that, I'm always here to help.
Oh,
Beautiful.
thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Quote of
thank
the
you.
day graphic. Boom, boom, boom.
Quote of the day.
Sarah's favorite quote is this too shall pass. And I see that with, the evolution that you've gone on through this journey, going from something that didn't light you up, that really had you not happy. And now you're here, not only happy with who you are, but you're helping other people become happy with where they can go. So thank you.
The ripple effect.
The ripple effect. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been so amazing. Sarah, we've learned so much about you, and such a beautiful soul. I am so proud and honored to be doing this podcast with both of you. I'm so excited and can't wait to see what life brings us. So, to our audience, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for staying on for this long with us, because we have so much to share, and it's so exciting. And it is our heart's desire that every time you listen to us, you come out with at least a seed for change, at least the seed of hope and a knowing that whatever your heart is calling you to do, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Whatever brings you joy, that's what you're supposed to be doing, and following the calling and trusting that there's going to be a net there to catch you, right? When you just take the leap, and things will appear seemingly out of the blue when you're doing these things. And it'll be like you'll start to understand what true magic is and how you are the embodiment of magic. So thank you so much for being here today. We love you. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to The Ripple Effect by the Alliance with Hannah Martinez,
Stacia Stove.
and Sarah Jane Leta. We hope you're now vibing high and ready to create your own ripple.
Drop a comment or email to let us know the ripple effect that you are creating.
Music by our very own Hannah Martinez, and music production by Onel Moulet.
Follow us on Instagram at The Ripple Effect Pod for more high vibration content. Please rate and review us wherever you listen.
Until next time.